What's up, everybody? We're back with another Leaflit video. And this one is titled, Bring Back the Masculine 2000s. Oh, this is going to be a doozy. Definitely follow Leaflit. I'll leave a link to the original video in the description below on my YouTube channel. Definitely follow Leaflit's channel, show your support. Also, check out my channel, Talking to Crowd, on YouTube and Twitch as I stream games, react to videos, and review content. So without further ado, let's get to it.
Why Everyone Wants the 2000s Back by Andy Pence Gaming.
We've all been haunted by as we try to fall asleep at night. Why have video game budgets and graphical fidelity skyrocketed the past 20 years while games themselves have gotten objectively worse? At age 43, people tell me, you're just nostalgic. But then I see 20-year-olds preferring games from the 2000s to modern slop as well. Doesn't that pretty much prove these games were objectively better? Classics like Metal Gear Solid 3, Devil May Cry, Final Fantasy X, San Andreas, and God of War put modern slop to shame. But if games from the 2000s had less pixels, less hardware, less gigabytes, how could they possibly be better? This is the question I want to explore in this video, and I think it begins with understanding 2000s culture.
Oh, peak. Peak.
If I had to sum up the 2000s in one phrase, it would be, fuck your feelings. The 2000s
Hell
was
yeah.
the opposite of our safe, overly sensitive. The 2000s was literally 2000s in one phrase, it would be, fuck your... If I had to sum up the 2000s in one phrase, it would be, fuck your feeling.
Oh, hell yeah. God, the 2000s. Golly. Oh, God, this warms my spirit.
The 2000s was literally the opposite of our safe, overly sensitive. The 2000s was literally 2000s in one phrase, it would be, fuck your feelings. The 2000s was literally the opposite of our safe, overly sensitive 2025 culture today. Fear Factor threw people into pits of snakes. Jackass had people getting gored by bulls and firing bottle rockets out of their buttholes. American Idol had Simon Cowell tearing people apart on stage. Gordon Ramsay was putting bread on fat women's heads and calling them idiot sandwiches. Tropic Thunder had Ben Stiller making fun of retards and Robert Downey Jr. in blackface saying,
for 400 years, that word has kept us down.
Damon and Marlon Wayans made fun of white chicks. Nicolas Cage dominated the box office. 2000s culture did not give an F.
Man,
we pretty much peaked as a society, and some of the greatest games of all time came out. Resident Evil 4. What makes this game so iconic is it's basically like playing a corny B-action movie from the 90s. You're saving the president's daughter, you're fighting a giant fish, you encounter hilarious villains like Ramon Salazar and Krauser.
That's so true.
The entire time, Leon is just flirting with hot women and delivering epic one-liners while doing backflips. The one word to describe this game is just fun. Although RE4 Remake is definitely better than most of the slop coming out these days, I feel like
RE4 Remake is still pretty dang good.
Racing games. So I feel like the only racing games coming out these days are simulator-type racing games, your Forzas, your Gran Turismos, with $10 trillion horse testicle shading, and honestly, I think they're boring as hell. If you're an old head like me, you remember when racing games were way edgier and funnier, like Twisted Metal and Destruction Derby. What I really miss is when racing games prioritized fun over realism. Fun is always more important than realism, and I feel like modern racing games... Burnout Revenge is a great example. This game is so insane and over the top. Each race, you have a different objective: wreck the most cars, take out opponents, finish the track fastest. The game just prioritized
the most racing games I ever played was in the early 2000s. I'm not really much of a gearhead like that, but anytime like I do play a racing game, it's always in like my earliest memories has been in the 2000s.
Insanity and wrecks, and
it's so dang fun.
Realism, man, it was just fun. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is another game from this era. You can call in helicopters, fire EMP pulses at other cars, and lay down spike strips. And every race is really intense. You're basically just either playing as the cops or playing as the bad guys, and you're trying to get away. Even all the way back on the...
I remember playing like an old Need for Speed game on PlayStation 2, and it was really fun.
Oh man, the PS1. God,
one of my favorite racing games.
Actually, the PS2 was peak PlayStation, to be fair.
Just awesome music.
The PS2 was peak PlayStation.
Weapons you could fire in close races.
Was it Most Wanted?
It was really a different era.
Oh my God, you remember when like the opening of the PS2, that blues screaming all the boxes, and it's like, oh, I was like that sound. Oh God, yeah, man.
Focusing on fun. Metal Gear Solid 3. MGS.
It might have been Underground.
Oh God,
cited as one of the greatest video games of all time because it had this amazing, edgy, and over-the-top story coupled with some of the greatest gameplay of all time. I have no idea what Kojima is doing now, but this ain't it, Chief.
What?
Solid Snake in amazing boss fights, delivering one-liners, flirting with all the hot women, difficult and hard as hell gameplay that really challenged you as a player. It was peak. Dead Rising 1 and 2. Dead Rising 3 and 4 were made by Microsoft and are dog water. So if you want to...
Yeah, I played... the only Dead Rising I played was...
Dead Rising 3 and
3. Dead Rising 3 was the only Dead Rising game I ever played. It's fine. It was fine. But it's a shame that, only the first guy really kind of took off in popularity. None of the other guys we ever saw again. That should tell you something.
4 were made by Microsoft and are dog water. So if you want to experience peak Capcom, I think you need to play RE4, Dead Rising 2, and Devil May Cry. Again,
I've never played Devil May Cry, like not even one.
What makes these games so good is they just didn't give a crap, dude. They were like, hot chicks? Yeah.
Devil May Cry 4 is the first Devil May Cry game I ever played, and I fell in love with Devil May Cry's series since then. But DLC doesn't count. That is dog water.
Of course. Funny dialogue? Of course. Edgy dialogue? Yeah, of course. Hilarious and over-the-top villains and story? Yeah, of course. Badass and awesome weapons? Yeah, of course. But another thing that made 2000s games so iconic is often they're like really, really hard. For example, in Dead Rising 1, you could just run out of time in the middle of a playthrough of the game and you're just done and you have to restart. And I love how
God, the Dragon Quarter.
Punishing and uncompromising old 2000s games were in this way. Crackdown. So Crackdown is a super edgy game from 2007 where you play as a cop, just beating the shit out of people. It's wonderful. You run around and collect giant green orbs, which is just a viscerally satisfying thing to do. The edgy thing this game had was that different gangs correlated to different races. Ooh, we can't do that anymore. We're pussified now as a culture. So the Shy Jin were a really funny Asian stereotype.
Yeah, that would not fly today.
He looks like the guy from he literally looks like the guy from Parappa the Rappa, like the first guy, like the Kung Fu Dojo master that's like an onion.
Kick, punch, it's all in the mind.
Kick, punch, it's all in the mind. If you want to test me, I'm sure you'll find the skills I teach you. I'm sure to beat you.
Shy Jin were a really funny Asian stereotype. Los Muertos were a funny Mexican stereotype. And the Volk were a funny Eastern European / Borat stereotype. I think what made later Crackdown games so bad is they took everything that made this game edgy and funny and just watered it down or removed it so it really wasn't the same game anymore. Silent Hill 2.
Never played it.
The Silent Hill 2 remake is fine and it's still better than most of the games out today, but it's nowhere near as disturbing and good as the original. So just play the original.
It's a very melodrama version of
course, it's a bunch of Jews running things.
Of the RE games, in my opinion.
Don't just take classes, take charge. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
I'm not really a cupcake, but I am super baked, thanks to Mood Can.
Mood is third-party
But does anybody remember when you first encounter Pyramid Head and he's like strangling / having sex with one of those mannequins? It's like one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen, and I'm going to blur it out here on screen because you're probably not here for that. But my point is just how edgy and badass games in the 2000s were. Konami out here like, yeah, of course we're going to traumatize a bunch of 8-year-old kids with the most disturbing scene ever. Silent Hill 2 was the kind of game spoken of in hushed tones at the lunch table in 2001. Medal of Honor. So this one is kind of random, but I was playing Medal of Honor European Assault on the original Xbox the other day, and this game is super patriotic because our culture is just full of beta cuck soy boys now.
Yep.
And being patriotic is somehow considered edgy. Basically, the music of the game wants you to feel like you are this heroic American badass fighting in World War II. It's awesome. Another thing I love about this game is just how good it feels to play. The game wants you to feel like a hero. The way the guns shoot and move is really satisfying. Great. I know Medal of Honor got dominated by Call of Duty starting in 2007, but this 2005 game really shows you what I think is sort of peak Medal of Honor before it went down. San Andreas, Manhunt, and Bully. So we all know
San Andreas is still considered one of the best San Andreas games of all time.
In the safe, sanitized slot they putting into GTA Online the past 5 years.
The best GTA games of all time.
Rockstar was absolutely peak edgelord and constantly pushed the envelope. GTA San Andreas invented the famous hot coffee mod. Tons of sexual references in the game. Tons of violence. The game was brutal.
Yeah, there was
we all remember the hot coffee.
There was a whole scandal because there was a way that you could actually have sex in the game. Like it was in the game. And then they took it out, but they didn't actually take it out. They just like flagged it so that you couldn't do it. But what happened was you could just use like, you know, like Game Genies and shit like that to like actually like re-enable it.
And showed real life Los Angeles. And did you know San Andreas actually made fun of trans people? I wonder what the developers at Rockstar today that are all woke think about that now. Manhunt had absolutely brutal and nihilistic killing by the player. Can you imagine some 10-year-old playing this game on the screen and his parents walking in? Wild. Zooming out a bit more, I think what the PS2 and Xbox had was simply just variety. Guitar Hero, Medal of Honor, COD, GTA, Final Fantasy X, Soul Calibur,
Final Fantasy X,
Twisted Metal, Jak and Daxter, Tekken.
You know, I couldn't like finish like Final Fantasy X because I don't know what's going on with that second to last boss. But besides that, I still had a great time because I streamed it. I still had a great time playing it. I just could not finish that second to last boss, so I know I wouldn't be able to finish that last boss. But I was nearly done anyway. But I still had a great time with Final Fantasy X. Golly.
Simpsons Hit and Run, Kingdom Hearts, SSX, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
I was just talking about Kingdom Hearts with a coworker of mine last week. In all honesty, I'm still... I thought about paying for the... Kingdom Hearts 3, but he suggested against it. So I'm gonna take his advice because he's like he had more knowledge about Kingdom Hearts than I do because I'm a casual because I know of Kingdom Hearts. I'm familiar, but like he had more of in-depth knowledge. So I'm gonna take his word for it. So I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm still waiting on Kingdom Hearts 4, so I'm gonna wait until then to play it.
Back then, we didn't have all these games that were just copies of other games. It was way more likely that a game would be unique back then. Possibly the most indicting number that shows you what dog shit video games are now is the number of exclusives that came out. So the original PS2 had about 4,000 games. Of these games, some people estimate that about 1,500 of these games were exclusives.
It was a reason to buy consoles.
Guess how many exclusives PS5 has? Wait for it.
I'd imagine it's harder
15.
though. I'd imagine it's so significantly harder nowadays. Like in the defense of game companies, I think it's significantly harder to, well, not game company. I guess like the console companies. It is significantly harder to land this because the power of Steam is so high. And this is a good thing, obviously. This is great. This is great. But I think it's a lot harder to make an argument for like, hey, will be exclusive to this console for whatever benefits when the power of releasing on Steam is like insane.
Dude, the PS5 has 15 exclusives and the PS2 had 1,500 exclusives. And it gets even worse because have you noticed how boring the exclusives that PS5 even has are? Horizon Forbidden West, Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, Death Stranding 2. These are all kind of the same dog shit, third-person, over-the-shoulder, cinematic slop game, aren't they? They're just boring as hell. They take no risks. And of course, they're full of just gay
You have the Atelier series got to start in PS2? Wait, that's not true.
I don't know if I mean, people have their own opinions about God of War Ragnarok. I actually really enjoyed Ragnarok. I legit enjoyed Ragnarok. Now, of course, still doesn't hold a candle to the previous God of War games, but I still enjoyed it.
Propaganda. I mean, compare these 4 games, which are supposed to be the best that the PS5 has to offer, and compare that with the catalog of the PS2. We used to have variety, man. Developers actually used to care about what they were making, and fun was always the primary motivation of making a game. So what changed, boys? What killed 2000s culture and also killed video games? And it's quite simple. Redditors, soy boy beta cucks,
women,
progressive white women, LGBTQ degenerates, trans people, and Jews. The feminization of culture.
Dude, the fucking Omni.
Degenerates, trans people, and Jews.
Oh my god.
The
my
feminization
god.
of culture, the gayification of culture, the pussification of culture. My wife was recently watching some woke Netflix documentaries, and the point of the documentaries was how, quote, toxic and problematic The Biggest Loser and America's Next Top Model were, if you remember those were reality shows in the 2000s. I never really watched either of these shows, but apparently they were
Why? Like they got these people and like gave them like heavy incentive to like get healthy. What?
Funny, edgy, and hilarious. Coaches would yell at fat people and tell them to get their fat ass back on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Tyra Banks, who actually sounds based as hell, would roast the shit out of women who wanted to be models. It sounds great. And guys, it all goes back to fuck your feelings.
And now she's getting in trouble, with this documentary about how she treated those girls back then. And it's like, God, fuck your feelings. You're going to be a model. It's like, if being a model is practically boot camp. So, it's going to put you through some stressors.
had balls in the 2000s. You don't like it? Cry about it. Stop being a little bitch.
Yep.
These Netflix documentaries perfectly capture what fucking pussies progressives have become today. They talk about how, quote, problematic Tyra Banks and Jillian Michaels were, even though all they were doing is telling fat asses to get back on the treadmill. I think this is a perfect analogy to what we are seeing today and why video games have become so bad. And we only have ourselves to blame because we allowed trans people, gay men, and women to work at these companies. Old games were edgy. They didn't give a fuck. They were fun. They didn't take things too seriously. And they were primarily designed to entertain men.
Dude, this guy is fucking pissed off. Dude, this guy is like ultra mad. This
Games
is great.
today are
He's
soft,
so pissed.
safe, bland, sanitized, watered down, and gay, man. They're just gay. I was playing Grounded in 2020, and it has a checkbox at the beginning of the game that says, check this box if you have arachnophobia. It basically turns all the spiders into blobs floating around. Like, imagine if Silent Hill 2 at the beginning of the game had said, check this box if you don't want to see the pyramid.
That is kind of crazy, though. That is kind of crazy.
Pyramid head sex scene. Like, what is wrong with people? So, guys, how did this happen? How did edgy games from the 2000s get replaced with Fortnite and Roblox slop? And what I think it all goes back to is the fact that progressive
white women.
That's a Nerf Maverick.
Gays and Redditors do not
That's like one of the best Nerf guns in Maverick.
Have God in their lives.
I used to mod those.
Therefore need to project their incorrect morality on the world around them to justify their own pathetic existence. Let me explain. In the 90s, who were the only people complaining about violence in video games? It was Christian Karens, right? It was our moms.
That's
but
true.
today, who are the, quote, religious people of today? Who are the, so to speak, priests and bishops of our culture today calling out things and calling them wrong? Is it not the woke people? Is it not, ironically, the degenerates who are calling things right or good or evil? And do you guys see the irony here? And that's a problem. They call everything you do white supremacy, even though you're just a white guy who wants to live his life. They create words like toxic masculinity to make men feel bad about their God-given desires. They preach diversity, except when it's a bunch of fat, purple-haired white women in a room. No, they're fine. They don't need diversity. Have you ever thought to ask this question? Why is it only the majority white countries that need diversity? Guys, I hope you see what I'm getting at here. Wokeness isn't just a cancer. It's not just a symptom of a mentally ill person who screeches whenever they see Trump. Wokeness is an alternate religion. It's an alternate faith.
I've always thought that. It
elevates the gay black lesbian to the status of a demigod. And by the way, I know tons of black people who actively hate this woke shit and are tired of being used as pawns by white.
There's plenty of them.
Yes, and there's a growing number of them too. It's nauseating. Matter of fact, even most gay people are getting kind of annoyed because they just want to live their lives. They don't need to be pedestalized. They just want to be able to live their lives normally without getting beaten up in the street. But they didn't ask for any of this. This is not what they asked for.
Who the fuck is Leaflit?
Liberals. So guys, I guess what I'm saying is this. In the 2000s, entertainment was allowed to be edgy because we had free speech. We had a free market. Christians, for the most part, wanted entertainment to be fun and didn't feel the need to project.
Like, how did this happen? Like, how did every single video game company, like, how does every video game company get big? Oh, it's okay. The reason why is because they have a heckler's veto. That's why. So what happened? So this is what happened. You have a company, right? And then that company makes something successful. And this is like kind of what I said before, how a company will become successful, but then they want to expand. And by wanting to expand, you have to lower your standards in order to like get more people, right? So you lower your standards, and once one of these people gets in, complains so much about shit, or they effectively have a heckler's veto because nobody else cares, but then they'll drive a big stink about something. And then what happens then is that people who are in HR and stuff, they're like, well, we don't want to deal with this. So, you know, it's like a pain in the ass to deal with. It's like, it's much easier rather than to get sued and have to deal with it. It's so much easier to just like, right. So then they comply and then more people get hired to that company. And it's just kind of all from there, right?
Our values onto culture. But what we've seen since 2011 is the rise of literally Satan himself. The woke religion. It's a religion that feeds on the blood of young children as it sacrifices them down the garbage chute in the form of.
Thank you for that 100 serums. The games are asked now because it's the shareholders or they want to the progressive message. I mean that is true too, because it's like as with anything, when there's passion,
they don't want to get boycotted, so they allow.
Now, if the incentive is instead money,
but they don't want to get boycotted, so they allow things to run rampant because they don't want to get sued or lose their bottom line. Also, there's no gatekeeping anymore. Gatekeeping used to be a bad thing because certain people wanted to be involved in a certain popular thing. Like, let's take Star Wars, for example. Star Wars was like a niche market where most people got bullied who, if you found out if they were into something like Star Wars. But as soon as Hollywood made it popular and becomes like a big cultural thing, then it's like a shifter. Now, like, people who probably didn't look at it twice now want to gain interest and just operate on good faith, be on goodwill. Like, hey, come on, you want to take an interest in the thing that I like? Yeah, like, I'm eager to talk to you about this. But problem is, we didn't have any checks and balances anymore. We thought these people would come in on good faith as well, but certain individuals who walked on in felt certain type of way about certain things that didn't make them feel good, so they want to raise a big stink about it and then get everybody else to, you know, feel bad about how they felt bad. Like, oh my God, Princess Leia made me feel so uncomfortable. It's like a crime against women, and because white liberal women, you know, want to feel bad and handholdy and sing kumbaya. This is not right. You shouldn't, like, you should respect her feelings. And then it becomes a big old stink. Then now the entire thing is upended because we gotta remove certain things, take certain things down, replace it with something else, make it. It's like, you know, allowing women in your man cave. And then all of a sudden she's changing things up to make it more feminine. Then it's not a man cave anymore. It's her extra little living space. Everything's a lot more softer now all of a sudden. There's more feminized scented candles all of a sudden. That's essentially what has happened with, not just with Star Wars, with video games, with Star Trek, with certain superhero movies, in certain TV shows. Everything's gotten feminized and gay. All because we hoped that they would be more, all because we was trying to be considerate and allowing people into certain spaces because we thought, you know, they would respect it.
Instead of actually making a good product, then you start to have problems.
Hundreds of thousands of abortions.
Don't forget, a lot of these people in games are failed Hollywood writers and artists, and they went to the next best thing. Yeah, but then the game companies hired them, right? It's like I said, I remember distinctly when I worked in the industry, we had cultural questions. So like when we interviewed people, we had cultural questions. Like it wouldn't be always about skill. So like I've done many interviews, you know, when I was working in industry, and it was like, of course you ask them like, oh, like here's like a technical test, or here's like a you know, like a test that shows your prowess in a specific skill, right? But then like other questions were not for that. They were cultural questions. They were like, are you gonna fuck the culture up here? And so we all would ask really ridiculous questions. Like one of them was, tell your worst joke, right? And so like that's like a really good question, like tell your worst joke, because that question requires you to actually analyze the line. Right, you have to know. So my worst joke means I have to say something, but then like not go too far over the line. So like, where is that line? You have to analyze and be able to tell what that line is. So it was a really good fit question because you can immediately tell like where a person was on that, right? I used to, for my question, my culture question, I used to ask people, which Tuhu would you fuck? Not like that. I would say like, if you could fuck one Toho, which one would it be? What if they didn't know Tuhu? That was the question. That was a part of the cultural question I asked. I used to interview people with a puppet. I would like tell them that the puppet was interviewing them. Did you have any interviews that knew the puppets? I had one, and I told them to hire him. He actually did get hired. He was really good. He made Fizz.
These white progressive women doing this stuff and they must be stopped. These white progressive women doing this stuff and they must be stopped. Reject the woke religion. Reject mind control. I'm a Christian, but I don't need to see my particular religious values.
I love Fizz. What do you mean Fizz? Fizz is such a good character. What? Fizz is a good character, like gameplay wise. He's really fun.
Projected on every form of media around me.
Okay, well, Fizz is annoying as fuck. Okay, but that doesn't mean he's poorly designed. You know his design intent was to be annoying as fuck. You know that, right? Like his archetype, like if you look at him, he looks annoying as fuck. He's supposed to be annoying as fuck, just like Timo.
Seeing gays and Jews and Redditors running all the media I consume. I'm tired of diversity. I'm tired of the obsession with multiculturalism. I'm tired of the hatred of white people. White people created the internet, toilets, modern plumbing, and Western society itself. These are our culture.
Yeah, God
Why
bless
is
America.
every other race allowed to have a culture except for white people? So bringing this all back to video games, guys,
I totally agree with this, by the way. It's very annoying. It's very annoying to me. White culture specifically today is just openly attacked by everyone.
I gotta admit, I do feel bad for white people. They have made good stuff. I mean, their contribution to the world isn't slavery or colonialism. They have made some pretty damn good stuff. Like I said, the toilet. Like,
and Jews and Redditors running all the media I consume. I'm tired of diversity. I'm tired of the obsession with multiculturalism. I'm tired of the hatred of white people. White people
Magna Carta,
toilets, modern plumbing, and Western society itself. These are our culture.
Western society.
Why is every other race
that we all enjoy
except for white people? So bringing this all back to video games, guys.
I totally agree with this. By the way, it's very annoying. It's very annoying to me. White culture,
just like white people enjoy our hip hop,
openly attacked by everyone,
and our rap,
openly minimized. Let's be real, it's the culture that has created like the most cool shit. The most like human advancement came out of white culture. Like let's not
the wheel
here. Let's not
the automobile.
Like, do some fucking hoping here. Let's be honest about history.
Let me tell you how we get back to the 2000s. We do it by this:
white mill,
one, make art,
white
and
street
stop
mill,
caring about what people
mind
think
you.
about it. Number 2. Do you and stop looking to other people for affirmation. This is what the 2000s was all about. Just make something, man. Make what you want and forget about the repercussions. Forget about what people are going to say. Just do it, man.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Reject pussification.
That's what I've been doing.
Reject gayification. Dude, our culture has become so fucking soft, man. Be as offensive and as edgy as you want and let the chips fall where they may. All right, I'm out.
For 400 years.
Yeah, I'll send it. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm just making whatever I want.
Yeah, man. God, man, the early 2000s was freaking lit. If you're a Gen Z, you don't even know. You just don't know. Especially if you're a Gen Z guy, or specifically a Gen Z white guy, you would have loved the early 2000s. We don't have to worry about offending everybody's little sensibilities. You can say, like, dude, that's retarded without being called to HR. It was a time. That was like a great time. Anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what was your favorite thing about the early 2000s. What video game like you just enjoyed playing that came out in the early 2000s. So anyway, I will see you guys for the next one. Peace.